Greetings, and here we are. We are at the end of another night of hockey, and the Arizona Coyotes are in first place in the Pacific. And I don't have to look at a calendar, I don't have to look up stats. That's a rarity, and this late in the season, that's got to be the first time that's happened in many years, I would think. I know it hasn't happened since this channel started up. Arizona's been mostly a disaster, so congratulations to them. We will get to what they did tonight. We are instead going to start with Boston at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. Again, remember the Akbar magnet was here, and it struck. Now, early on, it didn't look like it was going to. The Bruins get a power play in the first minute. The puck sat behind Leonard, and it seemed like time stopped for a few seconds there until it got cleared away. Because I don't know if everybody thought Leonard had it. They were waiting for a whistle to go or what it was, but the puck was sitting right behind him. It was right in the crease, and it got cleared out. The Bruins were really dominant early in that period, and the Hawks only had one shot in the first half. First half of the first period, one shot for Chicago. The Bruins got a power play, and guess what happens? Carpenter. This is the first shorthanded goal against Boston all year. He scores from Murphy at 18-14. Boston, undisciplined, gets a penalty right after. Strome makes them pay with a power play goal from Gustafsson and Kane at 18:51. It is 2-0 for Chicago after one in a period that it looked like Boston was going to run away with early. They didn't. Second period, the Bruins were up 18-9 in the shots early on. The Hawks got a power play. The shots seemed to be evening up, and I thought the Bruins' run was really genuinely in danger as we started the third period. And sure enough, starting that third period, DeBrincat scores from Strome and DeHaan at 17 seconds. So, yeah, this looked like it was going to be a Chicago wipeout of the Boston Bruins and their first regulation loss at home all season. Nordstrom, however, would score from Backus and McAvoy at 1:49. And the Bruins seemed to be really frustrated by the Hawks. There were plays which showed Brad Marchand smashing his stick against the boards, and just the Bruins seemed to be frustrated in general. Leonard was having a really solid game, and then Moore decided to pick a fight with Zach Smith. That didn't last. Basically, Smith beat him up. The Hawks end up getting a power play, but the Bruins, remembering what happened in the first, shorthanded goal for Wagner from Corrali and Grzelcyk at 15:01, and as soon as that happens, you feel that momentum shift. Krug would score from DeBrusk at 17:27. Again, the Boston Bruins with a flourish late in the game, and it makes up for the fact that they weren't playing very well before that. And I don't know how much longer they can go on doing this, but it worked. They go to overtime. Taves would score pretty quick into the overtime, 54 seconds. He got a breakaway after Pastrnak fell. It was one of those ones where Pastrnak really should have been trying to pass it off, or he's getting too cutesy with it. And I know there may be some Bruins fans who think Taves tripped him, but it was incidental. And yeah, Taves takes advantage and buries it, and your final score is 4-3 in overtime for the Chicago Blackhawks. Admiral Akbar knew a thing or two this morning. Leonard saves 37 out of 40. He was fantastic. Rask saved 27 out of 31. Your three stars are Taves, Krug, and Wagner. Shots were 12-8 Boston in the first, 12-10 in favor of Chicago in the second, 18-10 in the third for Boston. Chicago gets the only power play in overtime. That's the only shot in overtime. That's the shot that mattered. 40-31 are the shots in favor of Boston. The power plays 0-4 for Boston, 1-3 for Chicago. And there you go. Chicago goes into Boston, and they come out of it with 2 points. And now tomorrow they go in against New Jersey. That looks like a winnable game, right? We'll see what happens. Colorado winning against Montreal tonight. And of course, Habs fans really keeping an eye on Primo. How's Primo going to be? And the honest truth is, he looked shaky early on, but he had a pretty decent game overall. And so I kept track of what his save percentage was at the end of this game. And then I thought it was important that the first 4 or 5 minutes he came out of it without allowing a goal, so I said Primo escapes early unscathed. However, Graves would score from Calvert and Makar at 6 minutes and 13 seconds, so this incredible run by Cale Makar continues. As much as people may hate to hear about it every game, he's just playing well in every game. The shots were 10-3 in favor of Colorado at 8 minutes. Landeskog would then score from Rantanen at 12 minutes and 57 seconds. And Max Domi wasn't happy because when Rantanen went in and made the steal, he also butt-ended Domi in the face. So the referee, I guess, didn't see that. Domi wasn't happy because if that had been called, that's not a goal. The Habs were seemingly thrown off in this game by a hit that was thrown early by Zadorov. Kotkaniemi didn't come back into this game. If you've seen the hit, you know what I'm talking about, and we'll see if the NHL deems it a slew foot or not. I saw people on Twitter going either way with it. What do I think? I don't think I need to weigh in on it. I think I need to stay out of it because I can kind of see both sides. The only thing that has me leaning towards it being suspendable is that the combination of the way he goes in with his foot and sort of drives Kotkaniemi backwards, understanding that's going to send him, as my grandmother would have said, ass over tea kettle, to me says that he threw, it was unnecessarily rough what he did. So Kotkaniemi lands basically on his neck. It looked ugly, and Zadorov does have a track record, so we'll see what happens. But that did seem to throw the Habs off in that first period. The Habs got a power play with 5 minutes left. Francouz robbed Thompson. Fantastic shot by Thompson. Greater save by Francouz, who had a really good game. Second period, the Habs made a push. Francouz again, really solid. The Avs got penalized. The Habs got a power play. Tonight was the night of shorthanded goals. Calvert scores shorthanded from Comfort at 8:06. And it just looked like Montreal wasn't going to get any breaks tonight. The Avs got a power play. They got another power play late. However, Gallagher would score from Dano at 17:42 after that power play was done. So it's 3-1 after 2, and you're going, you know what? Maybe. Third period, at 1:23 in, Cousins would score from Domi. That was a power play goal, I do believe, because I see a time I wrote underneath. I think I meant to put power play goal there. These things happen when I'm watching 6 games, 7 games at once, right? So yeah, they get within 1, and the crowd seemed to be really buoyed by that. And so did the Habs, honestly. Their play was excellent in that third period. They just could not quite get to the tie. The Avs got a power play, ends up not going anywhere. Their power play actually went over tonight. And the goalies pulled by the Habs late, but they just could not get that tying goal. Francouz saved 39 out of 41. Primo saved 32 out of 35. If you want that in a save percentage, it was .914. Were there goals he had in the first that he should have had back? Yeah, one of them you could argue he probably should have had, but you know what? Overall, he had a good game, good debut, and it turns out starting him was not the end of the world. I looked outside and I'm like, world's not coming to an end. We got to be okay. 3 stars, Calvert, Gallagher, and Francouz. Power plays, Colorado 0 for 3, Montreal 1 for 3. The shots were 15-14 in the first for Montreal, 14-8 for Colorado in the second, 18-7 in favor of Montreal in the third. Final shots, 41-35 for the Montreal Canadiens. And again, these moral victories, they're piling up. I know for Montreal fans, they wanted to see an actual victory tonight, but this was a good game for Montreal. I think they played pretty darn well. And for Colorado, they're healthy. Look out. They got a goal. They got a win. They didn't need a point from McKinnon to get it. And McKinnon now can rest and relax a little bit. I saw people saying, oh, his scoring should only pick up when everybody's back. It may not. Since he's not necessarily the main guy, since you can get Landeskog and Rantanen points, he may actually score a little bit less, even if it's over the short term. We'll see. All right, moving along. Minnesota in against Tampa tonight, and you know what's funny? I took a lot of flack for where Minnesota was in the power rankings last Saturday, and I knew I would. We're almost a week later. Minnesota's moved up tremendously. This result tonight moves them up. So I look at TSN's power rankings today, which I generally don't do. I generally don't look at other power rankings. They were pretty close to where I have everybody on the board right now except Minnesota. They currently have them at 27. And I thought, boy, I could kind of argue in favor of 27 a week ago. I can't argue in favor of 27 now. They're not in the bottom 2 rows for me, which means they're either 21 or higher. I'm not giving up that much right now. But yeah, this result tonight bumped them up further. And coming into today, I think I had them at 20th, and they've moved up further. I understand them flying under the radar, too, though. Everybody kind of expects them to not be very good. And I think the fact that they were still sitting outside a playoff spot made it easy to overlook how well they've been playing. Now, early on, it looks like maybe this might be an ugly one. Chernak scores from point and Vasilevsky at 152. And the Wild's road record, while it's getting better, still doesn't look great. It was 6-10-2 coming into this game. Eriksson Ek would score from Greenway and Suter at 9:33. The Wild were ahead 6-2 in shots at that point. Zucker would then score from Stahl and Zuccarello at 10:46. And then Soucy scores at 11:14. And that's 3 goals on 9 shots for Minnesota. Maybe Vasilevsky's not that good this year. I think we all kind of ordained Vasilevsky as the heir apparent to the best goalie in the league. I've got a goalie issue from the Hockey News that declares he's the best goalie in the league. And, the numbers from this season so far, he's nowhere near Vezina consideration. I don't think he'd be top 10 right now. So anyways, that's 3 goals on 9 shots. Then Sergachev would score from Shattenkirk at 15:57 because one thing Minnesota does is make it hard on themselves. So it was 3-2 after 1, and it looked like this might be a crazy one where I use up all my magnets. However, in the second period, kind of a quiet first half. The Wild get a power play around the halfway mark, and then Tampa Bay got a power play shortly thereafter. Stalock held when the Bolts pressured, but eventually, if you give them enough chances, they will score on the power play. Hedman scores from Kucherov at 18:47. Which ties the game. So you're like, all right, it's tie game. We're going to see what... And then Rask scored from Fiala at 19:23. Before you've had time to even process that the game's tied, Rask with, honestly, a goal that, if you see it, it's one of those ones that you're thinking, man, if Vasilevsky just had been able to cover the puck, if somebody had been able to clear it. But it's one of those ones that Victor Rask will take it. He absolutely will take it right now. So it's 4-3 entering the third. Third period, 4 minutes. Killorn scores from Chernak, and you're like, all right, it's 4-4. We'll see what happens. Nope. Zuccarello scores from Zucker and Brodin at 4 minutes and 8 seconds. 5-4 for Minnesota. One thing that stood out to me, it's not on the board, but one of the things that stood out to me about Minnesota in this game, these guys are having a lot of fun playing together. These guys on the bench look happy. They look like they're enjoying themselves on the ice, and they're really, really bonding during this run. This has been really kind of sort of fantastic, and I believe now it's 12 games or 11 games without a regulation loss. Minnesota, they are in it right now. The Wild and the Bolts then had offsetting penalties, and that made it 4-on-4. Tampa got a power play later on. They pull the goalie. They had a lot of shots in that final 30 seconds. At the very least, a lot of opportunities. Could not tie the game. Stalock saved 30 out of 34 in the victory. Vasilevsky saved 16 out of 21. That's not going to get it done. 3 stars are Soucy, Sergachev, and Zuccarello. And power plays, Minnesota 0-2, and Tampa Bay 1-4. The shots were 13-9 in favor of Tampa in the first, 8-5 Tampa in the second, and 13-7 Tampa in the third. Final shots 34-21. So for Tampa, this is another setback. And this is why when I see Tampa fans saying, we got games in hand. Not anymore. They're losing the games in hand. This is where games in hand are tricky. And looking at the schedule and going, we got Minnesota at home. We're good. We've got that. You got to win them. So this is why strength of schedule for me is kind of a misnomer at this time of the year. Once you get into December and January, it's just go and win your games. There's no such thing as a soft part of the schedule for the most part. Once you're past the trade deadline, sure, there's teams that are in flat-out tank mode because they've sold everybody off. But this time of year, not so much. Vegas goes into New York against the Islanders, and they played an Islanders game, and they played it almost as well as the Islanders. In the end, the Islanders come out of it with 2 points, but if you're a Vegas fan, you have to feel pretty hardened with the way this game turned out. England ended up, it looked like he injured Martin at 18 seconds into the game. Martin did stay in the game, though, so it did look like, hey, England's taking Martin out, and I don't know if they should have called something there or not. The Islanders announcers were not happy, but that's kind of how the regional announcing works. The Isles got a power play around the halfway mark. That's the one of 2 power plays they had tonight. Vegas only had 1. So as chippy as you might have thought it was going to be after that hit by England, it really didn't happen tonight. So it's scoreless after 1. Second period, Clutterbuck scores from himself, I guess. It's unassisted at 4:26. And Vegas gets a power play around the halfway mark. And Tuck scores from Glass and Merrill at 15:27. So it's 1-1 after 2. And again, I didn't have a whole lot to report on this game. I'll go to this game and go, that's pretty even, pretty middle of the road. I mean, there's a lot of shots, but, a lot of them are from outside. And This is really an Islanders game. Third period, Nelson would score from Beauvillier and Mayfield at 3:56. And this was a standard low-scoring Islanders game. This is the way they like to play. And tight checking, keep them to the outside. They can take all their shots from the point, from the boards. Don't let them get anything in close. However, Marchessault would score from Haig and Smith at 15:28. The interesting thing is, if Haig takes that shot, Varlamov saves it because Haig whiffed on it and Marchessault comes in and smokes it. Different angle than what the goalie was planning for. Definitely not what the Islanders were planning for. And it's an unintentional assist for Haig that may have been the nicest assist he had all year because Marchessault buries it. He's got 4 goals in 2 games now. That's how you get out of a slump. The Islanders pushed with 3.5 minutes left. We're not able to score, so we go to overtime because of course we do. Schmidt blocked a Brassard shot. Looked painful for Nate Schmidt to block that shot. It really did. The Islanders got a power play. They take a timeout. In the overtime, I seem to think I said shootout at the start of this. I apologize. It was overtime. Pulock scores from Liam Bailey at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I guarantee you Gerard Gallant wasn't happy with that power play. He's never happy when Vegas gets a penalty for anything. So that's just kind of his whole thing. And it's not the only game that was decided in overtime tonight during a power play. But overtime win for the Islanders. Vegas comes out of tonight with a point. I'm not going to dock any points from them when it comes to the board that sits behind this camera here, because that's a good road point for them. Subban, 28 saves on 31 shots. He continues to be a really decent goaltender. Varlamov, 31 saves on 33 shots. Pulock, Nelson, and Clutterbuck are your 3 stars. Power plays, Vegas went 0 for 1. The Islanders went 1 for 2. Shots, 13-8 in the first period in favor of the Islanders. 13-12 for Vegas in the second. 11-4 Vegas in the third, and then in the overtime 2-1 for the Islanders, including the shot that matters. And your final shots are 33-31 in favor of Vegas. Good game back and forth. Again, I didn't have a whole lot of notes to take because there's not a lot of fighty moments or not a lot of power play stuff, and it was just a quiet Islanders style game. That being said, I now need to change boards. All right, Arizona. We're here. We've arrived at this game. The Coyotes went into Philadelphia tonight against a team that has been red hot. And I got to say, the Coyotes didn't play a great game. They really, really didn't. Darcy Kemper played a great game tonight. Darcy Kemper, again, drags the Arizona Coyotes to victory. If the Arizona Coyotes keep playing this way, and if they end up making a playoff spot, especially if they end up winning their division, I expect to see a photoshopped image of their playoff roster, and it's just Darcy Kemper sitting by himself. And where the rest of the team would be, there's nobody. Like Roberto Luongo back in 2007 with the Vancouver Canucks. It feels that way. First period, Kessel would score on the power play from Keller and Ekman-Larsson at 2:25. And it's important that Phil Kessel starts getting his scoring going. The Coyotes got another power play, and then during that power play, Kevin Hayes had a great shorthanded chance that was denied. So the Flyers did everything they could to tie it there, and Kemper goes, no. So we entered the second period. The Coyotes had a power play. The Flyers then got a power play with about 6 minutes left. Kemper denied Voracek during that, and the Flyers got another power play late. So they had 3 power plays tonight, and it just didn't happen. So it's 1-0 entering the third. But for Arizona, they had 9 shots in 2 periods. So I can't commit to this and say, well, they had a fantastic game. Kemper had a fantastic game, and he was the story. The Coyotes were winning despite the fact they had 14 shots in the first 50 minutes of this game. 14 in 50 minutes, and they're winning. Garland would score from Dvorak and Chychrun at 12:57. Kemper's in the process of stealing the game as it's now 2-0. However, Niskanen would score from Couturier and Voracek at 15:17. And then it's a late power play for the Coyotes, and Kessel would score from Soderberg and Keller at, say, 18:58. That's an empty netter. I believe that was power play there. And that finishes it. So the Arizona Coyotes win 3-1. Kemper saved 28 out of 29. Elliott saved 15 out of 17. Kemper, Garland, and Couturier are your 3 stars. Power plays, Arizona goes 2 for 4. Philadelphia 0 for 3. The shots were 5 apiece in the first. 13-4 in the second for Philadelphia. 11-9 Philadelphia in the third. Final shots 29-18. This win is all Kemper. and Kemper has dragged them to first place in the Pacific. I'm bewildered by this. I didn't really see Arizona as potentially being a threat for first place in the Pacific. I don't know how long this lasts, but to any Coyotes fans watching this, enjoy this moment for a while, because there's the possibility the Oilers overcome this and they get back on a run. It's looking a little dicey right now, though, for the Oilers. Maybe Arizona can do this. That being said, Vegas and San Jose are still lingering about, and Calgary looks like they're coming out of their doldrums as well. So for Arizona, as long as Kemper's playing like this, they should be a playoff team. All right, next up, San Jose goes into Carolina tonight, and this was a game that started fast. Svechnikov from Foegele at 50 seconds. Carolina fans, have you been showing people footage of that goal? I'll just pause so you guys can show footage of that goal. It comes back to exactly what I was talking about in the video today, so it makes sense. That was the goal on their first shot. So one shot for Carolina and a goal. And that's kind of how this thing works with the San Jose Sharks. First shot in the net. However, they would recover. Sorensen scores from Thornton and LeBanc at 7:16. And the Canes announcers just ripped Gardner a new one. Gardner was cheating over towards Thornton. And according to the announcers, Gardner should not have been cheating over towards Thornton. He should have been playing the pass, because clearly Thornton prefers to pass. I would counter with, Thornton hasn't had a goal in over 30 games. He may very well try to snipe one. Not only that, but Sorensen, the guy he passed it to, had what, four goals coming into tonight? I can't really get on Gardner too much on that one, but it's interesting to hear the announcers for Carolina really start getting on Jake Gardner about his defense, because that's not really his game. The problem is he hasn't been providing the points and the goals either, so it's becoming an issue. Second period, Gardner would score. Gardner scores from Foegele and Svechnikov at 10 minutes and 12 seconds. That's the first goal he's scored in 27 games. 27. If you're hearing something, that's the furnace, because it's cold in here. Gardner scores from Foegele and Svechnikov at 10 minutes and 12 seconds, and it's 2-1. And it's nice to see Gardner get a goal because, like I said, it's first in 27 games. There was an extended 4-on-4. After that, the Canes get a power play. Couture, however, would tie it up with 18 seconds left from Erik Karlsson and Brendan Dillon. So San Jose's tied 2-2 going into the third period. In the third period, the Sharks get a power play. On that penalty kill, Edmundson was fantastic. Edmundson's been quite the find for Carolina. Falk being gone, I'm sure there may be some that miss Falk on the Canes blue line. There's going to be a lot of comments if we don't miss Falk. But Edmundson's been fantastic. The Canes then got a power play, and Dell robbed Wellmark. The Canes pushed again with 5:30 left, but again, Aaron Dell really, really good. I'm going to say straight out, Dell for me is that honorary 3 stars guy for tonight. He doesn't get named to the 3 stars. I thought he should have. In the overtime, Dell robbed Aho. Fantastic chance for Aho. Great save by Dell. The Canes called a timeout, and Mrazek then stopped Couture, as both goaltenders were really good in the overtime, but especially Dell, who saved a bunch in the overtime. We go to the shootout. Your winner is from Svechnikov. So again, Canes fans, you can fire that up on your phone and show everybody this great goal by Svechnikov, and you've got the other great goal by Svechnikov to show everybody, and we can all talk about how Svechnikov's going to win the Hart. And this is lighthearted ribbing on my part, because I get it. As a fan of the Canucks, we've seen this with Canuck fans about Pettersson plenty of times, so I get it. Dell, 27 saves on 29 shots. Without Aaron Dell, this doesn't go to overtime. Mrazek, 28 saves on 30 shots for him. Very good game for him as well. I'm not trying to take anything away from him. But he got a 3rd star in this game. Svechnikov, star number 1, of course. Foegele, star number 2, and Mrazek, star number 3. Power plays, San Jose 0 for 2, Carolina 0 for 3. So San Jose continues to have the best penalty kill in the league. The shots were 9 apiece in the first and the second. San Jose outshoots them 10-5 in the third. In the overtime, Carolina did its best. They outshot San Jose 6-2. Final shots 30-29 in favor of the Sharks. So, pretty darn solid, entertaining game. Moving along. The Rangers. And if you're a Columbus fan, I would think that the reality is setting in now that these guys likely not making the playoffs. And again, I know a lot of fans are going to be like, we didn't think they were making the playoffs anyways. But it just feels like they're on a slide, and this could be the slide that forces Jarmo Kekalainen to maybe make some changes. And what those changes are going to be, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Columbus. They got a power play. They were actually ahead in the shots 9-3 at 12 and a half minutes into this game. Atkinson would score from Foligno at 12 minutes and 43 seconds. They get another power play. They didn't score on that one, and their power play would be a problem tonight. Zibanejad would assist on a goal by Lemieux. Kakko got the second assist. That's at 19:52. So that's one of those key last-minute goals. In this case, 8 seconds left goals. And so for the Rangers, big boost. And for Columbus, that's kind of a depressing thing. The Rangers got a power play in the second, and they scored on it. Trouba from Fox and Strome at 5:46. The Rangers went back to the power play. They wouldn't score on that one. And then Panarin would score from D'Angelo and Howden at 15:32. So Columbus fans may remember Artemi Panarin. He was actually a member of the Blue Jackets last year. You wouldn't know it from the fact that this was mentioned every 2 seconds on every preview coming into this game, and likely was mentioned every 2 seconds during the game itself as well. I turned away a bit, so maybe. Third period, Seth Jones would actually make it a 1-goal game at 3 minutes and 33 seconds. He had a very good game. Columbus would get a power play late, but like I said, their power play couldn't score. And when they got their chances, Georgiev was fantastic. Georgiev saved 45 out of 47 tonight for the victory. Korpisalo saved 16 out of 19. Your 3 stars are Georgiev, Panarin, and Seth Jones. Power plays, the Rangers go 1 for 2. Columbus goes 0 for 5. The shots were 18-6. Columbus in that first period. 11 apiece in the second. In the third, 18-2 for Columbus. So again, Columbus in that third period did everything they could, just could not solve Georgiev. Your final shots are 47-19. I don't know if that makes it any better. If you look at that and say, well, on most nights we would have won this game, it's fine. Or if it's more frustrating seeing that shot total. Alrighty. That being said, I don't really have anything else to add to that. It was just, this is one of those Columbus games that turns out that way. Next up, Winnipeg and Dallas. And this game ended up being pretty entertaining. First period, the shots were 6-2 stars at 8.5 minutes. They got an extended power play, or they got a power play at the half, and there was an extended 4-on-4 late in the period. At 18:27, it's a power play goal for Dallas. If you're a Dallas fan, that's when they actually have one more player than the other team, and they scored on it. Strange, right? Ben scored from Heiskanen and Sagan at 18:27. It's 1-0 Dallas after 1. So despite tremendous shots in their favor and power plays, they have a lead. Second period, the Stars were almost doubling the Jets in shots. The Jets get an early power play. Their power play would come up with nothing tonight. The penalty kill for Dallas has been excellent for most of the season. Hellebuck was keeping it a 1-goal game until Gurianov. Gurianov from Perry and Dickinson at 9:25. And if Gurianov gets consistent offense into his game, Dallas could very well be dangerous and could go on a bit of a run again, but we'll see if that ends up happening. There was a close call for the Jets at 12:20. They put it through the crease, just missed. It was a couple of sticks right there, and they missed it. The Stars got a power play, 4 minutes for Scheifele. So he gets 2 minutes for, I think it was a high stick or a hold. And then he lipped off the referee. Referee listens to a little bit of it and then decides that's it and gives him an extra 2. But Heiskanen hits a post, and that's as close as they'd get. No power play goal on that one. The Jets got a late power play, and Laine had a really good chance on said power play, and Ben Bishop kicked it aside. So we go into the third period. Early in the third, Wheeler scores from Ehlers and Pullman at 1:38. That makes it a 1-goal game. And the Jets just felt it from then on. And Dallas, this was an upsetting third period if you're a Dallas fan. Heavy push by the Jets. After that power play, the shots were 8-0 in that period for the Jets, 8 minutes into it. It was a physical game. Shortly thereafter, the Stars' physical game kind of picked up, but they just couldn't keep the puck out of their own zone. Dallas was hanging on. Goalie gets pulled with 2 minutes left, and then Scheifele scores from Laine at 19:15. And look at that. Laine now has 20 assists. He had 20 assists all year last year. He now has 20 assists this season. That's how weird a season it's been for Patrick Laine. And before that Scheifele goal goes in, I have to say, they showed Dallas fans leaving. So they pull the goalie, they're down by 1 goal, and you're going, oh, well, we won this game, and you're picking up your gear and you're leaving? I wish the camera had held on them and seen if they ran back down to their seats or not. You don't, when it's a 1-goal game late and they pull the goal, you don't take off and go, well, we've got this one. Anyways, overtime. Yeah, we go to overtime. It was an early Stars chance, and then the Stars got a power play. Paul Maurice did not agree with that call. He, much like Gerard Gallant, not happy with overtime power plays, and it should be something egregious. And Jets fans aren't going to like it in all likelihood either. On that power play, it's a 4-on-3 because it's an overtime power play. Pavelski would get his first point in 10 games. It's a power play goal from Sagan and Heiskanen at 2:02. The shots were heavily even throughout. Eventually, they ended up being even. Although early they heavily favored Dallas, late they heavily favored Winnipeg. Hellebuck saved 36 out of 39. Bishop saved 36 out of 38. Both goaltenders were excellent. Your 3 stars, Pavelski, Bishop, and Hellebuck. That's how 3 stars should work in a game that goes to overtime where both goalies are excellent. Power plays, Winnipeg 0 for 3. Dallas 2 for 5. Dear Lord, Winnipeg, you allowed 2 power play goals against Dallas? Come on. Shots were 14-8 for Dallas in the first, 16-15 in the second for Dallas. That's a little bit wide open for my liking. 13-3 in the third in favor of the Winnipeg Jets. And in overtime, 6-2 in favor of Dallas, including the shot that mattered. Final shots, 39-38 in favor of Dallas. But that third period, that was a bit of a meltdown for the Stars, and a really nice comeback for Winnipeg. So Winnipeg comes out of this one with a point, and that has to feel pretty good for them against a division rival that they took 2 points against in their last meeting. So in the 2 meetings, they get 3 points, and Dallas gets 2. We'll see if that point ends up meaning anything at the end of the year. Like somebody's going to come back to this review video in April and say, hey, you were right. Nobody's going to do that. That being said, I have to change the boards one more time. Last game of the night. Now, Buffalo had a really rough November. Now they're going through Western Canada. This is a rough start to their December road trip. And they get to play Vancouver on Saturday and then Edmonton on Sunday. So we'll see how things go for them against the Canucks and the Oilers, respectively. It started off well enough. Reinhart scores from Ristolainen and Olofsson at 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Looks good for Buffalo. The shots were pretty even all the way throughout that period. Johnny Gaudreau would score from Monahan and Tkachuk at 16:42 on the power play. So Calgary ticked a lot of boxes tonight, and we'll get to that. But the power play getting on the board, Johnny Gaudreau getting on the board, things look pretty good under Jeff Ward. Jeff Ward, maybe he won't be the interim coach for long. Maybe he'll end up being named the full-time coach sooner rather than later. Second period, Riddick denied Scandella in a really nice close-in shot. Ullmark then stopped Hamonic at the other end, and the Flames were buzzing around the net, just couldn't quite get the puck in. Backlund ended up hitting the post, and there was another push by the Flames. And then guess who gets a goal? In his 400th NHL game, he was waived earlier in the year. Nobody wanted him. It's Toby Reeder from Ryan, and that's a shorthanded goal. It is the first shorthanded goal of the season for Calgary, a team that led the league in shorthanded goals last year. That's at 11-18, and that's a good omen, isn't it? Second goal of the year for Reeder. It's got to feel pretty good. Monahan would then score from Backlund and Anderson at 15:02, and it's a 3-1 lead for the Calgary Flames. The Sabres got a power play. They wouldn't score on that one. They would get a lot of power plays, though. One thing Calgary comes out of tonight knowing is they have to work on their discipline. Third period, early on, it's Lucic. Milan Lucic gets his first goal of the year. Probably saw Louis Eriksson got one last week and went, hey, I can do that. Got one from Ryan and Dubé at 3:58. And I think the nice thing about that just wasn't the fact that Lucic gets a goal. It's how his teammates reacted to it. Clearly rallying around him, and you know they've been trying to get him that goal for weeks now. The Sabres got a power play. They needed a goal. It became a 58-second 5-on-3. During that 5-on-3 and everything else going on around it, they achieved 0 shots. In their first 7 power plays, they had 3 shots. So Sabres power play continues to struggle. That being said, the Flames got a power play they didn't score on. And then McCabe would score from Olofsson at 17-16. And all of a sudden, the tables tipped. Everything, the ice tilted, the tables turned, everything sort of tips in Buffalo's favor. And you could see the Flames running around a bit. So they took a penalty with 1 minute and 28 seconds left. Well, what do? Well, you pull the goalie, you go 6-on-4. And they did. Eichel would score during that power play from Montour and Johansson at 19-12. So that's their first power play goal of the game. And it made it 4-3. The Flames called a timeout. Like, all right, everybody relax. Whatever they did during the timeout, it kind of worked, but it kind of didn't. Because Buffalo put on a ton of pressure late. They just could not get the puck to the net when they needed it to. And so it is a regulation victory for Calgary, 4-3. They go to 3-0 under Jeff Ward. So we'll keep an eye on that. Ullmark, 25 saves on 29 shots. Riddick, 26 saves on 29 shots. Johnny Gaudreau, Derek Ryan, and Mark Giordano are your 3 stars of the game. Power plays, Buffalo, 1 for 8. Calgary, 1 for 2. Shots, 10-9 in the first in favor of Buffalo, 11 apiece in the second, 9-8 Calgary in the third, 29-29 overall. So what does that do to the playoff picture? Washington would play Pittsburgh. Yep. The Islanders would play Philadelphia. Boston would play Carolina. Be a very interesting one right there. Florida would still play Buffalo as the Atlantic Division. Nobody's really running along to get that third spot, are they? The Rangers are the closest in the hunt. Montreal's dropped below that. Toronto and Tampa is also below that line. And the whole games in hand thing is really starting to fall apart as an argument. On the western side of things, St. Louis would play Minnesota. Minnesota right now has a wild card spot. What's up with that? Colorado would play Winnipeg. The Arizona Coyotes, the first place team in their division, would play Dallas. I would assume that series would go to 4 overtimes, scoreless tie, all 7 games. The Oilers would play Vegas, to which Vegas says, all right, we can do that. But yeah, the Oilers, there's an issue right now where they've started making that drop. We finally see them out of first place. In the hunt, Vancouver, San Jose, Calgary, and Nashville in that order. So there you go. You guys are all caught up on the action from tonight. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. We have 5 games tomorrow, so it's relatively busy for a Friday. And then on Saturday, I think it's 11 games, which isn't bad. So let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. And just a heads up, YouTube went through and cleared out some dead accounts, as they called it. So I saw my subscriber count drop by 300. I have no reason to think that it's anything other than dead accounts that disappeared. But maybe double check to see that you're still subscribed. Because every now and then somebody will be unsubscribed without actually clicking the unsubscribe. So keep an eye on that. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. And especially a thank you to Clement Lynn and CM Friedman on Patreon for your continued patronage. And, without you guys, this doesn't work. So I'm very grateful for all that. That being said, I'm done for tonight. So I will talk to you guys again tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching.